Hello, everyone. I'm Emily Rose Heyer, mind body coach for moms. And today I want to talk about mom rage, anger, anger, and rage. Anger and rage that we have been suppressing, and then we let it out in the worst ways at the worst times with the people we love the most. So, first, I want to preface to say that I have talked about this with my own mother and how she raised me. And she has expressed regret with the anger and rage and the yelling that she did when she was raising me and my sister. And I don't talk about this enough because I'm always, considering my mom's feelings as someone who has gone through, raising children and has come full circle to realizing that, she didn't do things the way she would actually have wanted to do it. And I I want to protect her, and I don't want to make her feel bad, and I don't want to embarrass her and all of that. But we have had these conversations, and she is open to me talking about this so that other new moms can learn from the mistakes and to do things differently. That is why I do what I do. I have evolved as a woman and as a wife and a mom, um, because I didn't want to be like my mom growing up. I knew there had to be a different way. And let me say, I love my mom. I love her. There is so much about her that I love and that I did want to emulate growing up. I loved that she was powerful and feisty, and she didn't take crap from anybody, and she would stand up for what she believed in. She was wanting to protect the underdog and, there as a good friend to people. So many things I did embody as her daughter, things that I looked up to. When I was younger, she was my hero. I put her on a pedestal like most of us do with our moms, right? Um, Over time, there were some things that happened in our lives and some trauma in life. And she did not have the tools and the capacity to regulate herself to be the loving and compassionate, calm and patient mom that she wanted to be. And so she ended up yelling and screaming and using harsh words as part of her parenting. And it really was hard for me as someone who's very sensitive and someone who loved her so much, to be yelled at and screamed at and cussed at and, told just go to my room and, separate myself. I didn't know what was happening. I was confused and sad. And I remember being in my room crying for my mom, wanting my mom, but she was the one in the other room who just slammed the door and, sent me to my room. Like I had that yearning for that connection to my mom, but she was the one that was inflicting the pain. So it was such a hard reality. And I know a lot of children had it much worse if we want to compare. Um, However, it is still painful to a small child who is just confused as to what's happening because they're just getting yelled and screamed at. They don't know why, and they don't know exactly what they did. Or maybe they know what they did, but they don't know why they did it because their brain is still not developed and they're learning. And yelling is just shocking the nervous system. And it's making the child and, fight, flight, or freeze. And I would freeze a lot. I remember being told, like, wipe that face off your face, because I would just be like, what? Like, what's happening? I couldn't answer questions. I didn't know, like, I was so shocked that my body would just stand there and freeze. So growing up, I knew there had to be a different way. I saw other families, my friends' moms, moms on TV and in movies, and I started to idolize these imaginary moms in my head of who, like the mom I wanted to be. And that was my goal. I wanted to be a mom so I could do things differently. I knew I could be better. I knew I could do things right, could be an amazing mom. And so I had this kind of running list of what that looked like, all the things a mom would do and say, and, you know, this picture of a mom. And so when I became a mom, I quickly realized that it is way harder than just saying, I'm going to be a calm and patient mom. First of all, I thought that if I just loved my son enough, that we would automatically have this connection where he would listen to me. It sounds so stupid. It sounds so naive, right? If I just love him, then he'll feel loved and will follow along with whatever I want to do. And there will be no problems. And so I had this like romanticized idea of being a mom as being easier because I wasn't going to be like my mom. So I had this like, there's this like pendulum we go on as moms. We're like, well, I don't want to be way over here like my mom or my dad. So I'm going to swing to the opposite and do everything completely different. The problem is we haven't learned how to completely change our brains and bodies, and our memories are still stored in our body. The way we were taught, the way we were raised and modeled for lives inside of us. And it only takes a small trigger to bring that up. So when I was parenting my little toddler baby, when he started walking and running around and doing his own thing, it didn't matter how much I loved him or how much he loved me. He is his own person with his own agency, with his own will. And I was shocked. And I found myself yelling and expressing this rage, this new rage that came out of me. And because I wasn't allowed to be angry and upset at the discipline that was bestowed upon me as a child, I learned to just stifle rage. I never would have called myself an angry person. I never would have said I even felt anger. I would feel sad and I would cry, but I don't remember feeling the feeling of the emotion of anger. I never let myself feel it. So all of a sudden I'm a mom with this little baby and I'm like feeling rage, and it scared me. Like, how can you be angry at a 15-month-old who just put his own foot in his own poop while you're changing his diaper? Like, why is that the thing that brings out all the anger and rage? It was like the smallest things like that that really had like it shocked me how much anger would just come out at food being thrown on the floor. And it was because I didn't deal with the issues from my past like I thought I did. I had been through coaching programs and coach training, and I had all of these tools. I was a coach. I had coached people on how to do this, but I hadn't seen myself having some of these issues and these unresolved triggers that they're still there and I hadn't dealt with them. So becoming a mom is probably the biggest catalyst for change for me. Getting married was probably the next one down. Huge catalyst for changing and looking at yourself and all of your triggers from your childhood and past relationships and all of that. But the mother-child relationship is so special. I think because you love them so much, it hurts that much more when things aren't going your way. And if you haven't learned how to deal with that, you haven't been modeled how to handle little things like food getting on the floor, paint getting splattered during a craft, stepping on a hard plastic toy. When those are the little things that are at the tip of the iceberg, you're being shown there's an iceberg underneath of pain and rage and issues to be resolved. So, number one, we have to have compassion for ourselves. We're new moms in a modern world after a century or more of parenting advice that has come from typically old white men, male scientists who study children or babies or whatever. And we're taught like this is what you need to do to make them learn something. The learning theory, right? You can look it up. Um, this is about changing behavior, and you need to be in charge, and you need to show them who's boss. And it's very authoritarian. It's very tyrannical. It's like make them understand that this is not okay. And that anger and rage and yelling comes up because you think it's like subconsciously you think if I'm louder, they'll understand me. That's not true. You can whisper and be soft and make more change with your child than yelling and screaming. Um, this has been a huge lesson for me is to like get in touch with that anger and find appropriate ways to express it. That's not at the people I love. And to go back to those memories and work through them and to talk to the people, whether actual face to face or in your mind, writing letters to people and expressing the anger. There's so much that goes into it. But I just wanted to come here today to say if you're a mom that is struggling with this, that every day you're finding yourself yelling and screaming or cussing at your kids or spanking and hitting when you knew you didn't want to do that, but you're finding yourself doing it and you know it's not right and you know you want to be different. I know that there's a better way, and I have tools, and I have a whole 5-step process called Take a Fiver, like taking 5 minutes for yourself to feel the emotions and to understand where the trigger is coming from and how to move on. I have a process for you. So I'm going to link it in the description box below. You can download it or sign up to download it for free. But this has been a huge game changer for me. And talking through it with my mom has been very healing. However, you don't have to go through that step directly with your parents if they're gone, or they are not part of your life because they're not the kind that will talk about it or they don't believe they did anything wrong. You can have these conversations with them in your mind or writing a letter. I think that's very important, to say what you've always wanted to say. You don't necessarily have to send a letter. I'm just saying to get it out on paper is very cathartic and healing. And that's some of the work that we do together in one-on-one coaching, is some of those tips and tricks and working through what's actually happening in the subconscious so that you can heal it and move on and become the calm and patient mom that you want to be. I still get triggered, believe me, but it is now so much easier to see it happening and to pivot and move on because I've done this so much. And when I really can't figure something out, I have a coach that I can go to and get some help. Coaching really saved me from myself when my son was around 15, 16 months old. I was starting to really go downhill again. And after coming from a deep, dark depression in 2016, I knew the feeling. I could not go back there, especially now that I'm a mom. I could not. So I reached out to my coach. I signed up for her program and I took advantage of that. And I got coaching a lot. I cried and blubbered and sniffled through coaching sessions just to get some help because I knew I needed to be different. I knew this was not how I wanted to show up as a mom. So if that's you, please reach out. Like I said, I have that 5-step process for free for anyone who wants it. You can also just directly sign up for a free consultation and we can work through some of these issues and talk about how I can help you. So that's all I have for you today. If you're an angry, raging mom and you're wanting to stop yelling and cussing or spanking and doing these things that you know you don't want to do, and you want to do something different, but you don't know how, please reach out to me. I'd love to help you. All right. Have a great day. Thank you for watching. Share this with someone you know who needs it. All right. Bye-bye.